Hello and welcome back, Diablo fans, to another video. In today's video, I wanted to go over my Zealer build that I use in Project Diablo 2 Season 3. I'll be going over the full set of skills and gear that I use for this, and why I feel like this is one of the best builds, as well as some of the best practices that I use for running minis and uber trist with ease. For starters, let's go over what I use for gear. For my weapon, I'm using a Last Wish and a 15% Berserker Axe. With this, some people like to use a Phase Blade, but really comes down to is preference. I use a Last Wish over Death because mainly just for the life tap and crushing blow. I feel again when it comes down to weapon, use what you feel is comfortable for you. With this, it seems that I enjoy this over Death just because it's a little safer, but on the contrary, this doesn't dish out as much damage. But in a moment, I'll go over how I manage to do high damage while keeping that sustain. For my armor, I'm using a Chains of Honors for the damage to demons, the lifesteal, and the all res. For my helm, I'm using a Crown of Ages here. You can use a G-Face for crushing blow. In this case, I'm using a Crown of Ages just for the all res and the PDR, as well as the 3 sockets that I got on this. So with that, you want to use the IS jewels with ED just for some extra damage. Now for my shield, I went with a 3-socketed Alma. With this, I use the ED plus damage to demon jewels, just so that I can double dip into some extra damage, especially with the enhanced damage that already comes with this shield. Now this is why I went with the Last Wish here, just because I knew that I was going to go with something with a little extra damage somewhere else. So I favored the sustain here, especially in Uber Trist. For your Ami, go with a High Lords or a really good Maros. I went with a High Lords. Now with this one, the chance to pierce doesn't really do anything really in these Uber fights, so try to find one with ED or an IES roll. The best thing about this Ami is that it has lightning res, which is really good for Mephisto, and the deadly strike, so try to stack this and with crushing blow as much as possible. For one of my rings, I went with a crafted one here. You want to go with one with any type of res, main stat, any type of life leech or mana leech. And for my second ring, I went with a BK Deathband. You can easily go for a Ravenfrost early. I went with this BK just for the ED and the CBF Corrupt, plus the lightning res doesn't hurt. For my gloves, because in Project Diablo 2, they nerfed the Drac gloves, which no longer have life tap, go with Soul Drainers here just for the dual leech, plus the negative physical res. That's pretty nice too. For belt, use a Verdungos or a String of Ears. And for boots, use Gore Riders or even Goblin Toes for the crushing blow. I went with Gore Riders for the extra deadly strike, plus it does have a little bit of crushing blow. For charms, get yourself an Annie and a Torch eventually, but you can easily manage without. Just aim for max damage lifer GCs or any type of all res with FHR small charms. For my Merc, I really enjoy the Act 2 Merc here. I use an Obedience for the weapon, again for the crushing blow. This really does help with the first 30% of each fight, speeding up your kills and your clear speed a ton. For armor, go with a Fortitude, but you can easily do this with what I'm using is a Stone. For his helm, I'm using a G-Face for the deadly strike and crushing blow. Make sure to get one with a few sockets in it just for the IES jewels, because this is super important, especially when you're trying to hit these max IES breakpoints. For his gloves, use Drax for the lifesteal and IES, but he does have chance of open wounds, which is also nice. For belt, use a Nosferatos, again for the IES and lifesteal, as well as the deadly strike. And Goblin Toes for his boots for the ED and crushing blow. For skills, it's really simple. Just max out Zeal with the only synergy, which is Sacrifice. Put 1 hard point into Holy Shield, which does help with the max block. Max out Fanaticism for the increased damage and attack speed. Then lastly, put the remaining hard points into Resist Fire and Resist Lightning, as this does help tremendously with the Mephisto, Diablo, and Bale fights. For your attributes, just put enough for your strength and dex just to wear your gear, then put about 180 points into dex for max block, while putting the remaining points into vitality. Well, that wraps up this video, guys. Thanks again for watching. I kind of want to know if you used a Last Wish or a Death with your Zealer build, so let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.